In the shadows of the mind where secrets hide, we dive into the dark where truth collides. Forensic minds unravel the twisted thread. True crime tales from the living and the dead. Why did they do it? To help, for love, in anger, or insane? Who will remember them? Who is to blame? The victims deserve justice. The guilty should be until the end of time. Echoes of the past in every crime.
Whoops. I was doing the whole thank you, everybody. It's so great to see you all. And I wasn't even on the platform. So Merry Christmas. Excuse my environment. I am actually coming straight to you from a private bedroom. Okay. So this is the only place I have in the whole house that I can do this, all right, without intruding on other people's privacy. So I can't be here very long. There is so much to talk about where the hidden true crime debacle is in question. It continues to be a debacle, and man alive, we have everyone wanting to get in on the action, don't we? Including Tricia of Websleuths. There was this so bizarre live that she did. Oh, I don't mean the live itself was bizarre, but I found her behavior to be quite out of character for her. I think it was quite out of character, and I smell her at. Okay, so Trisha, not really sure what you're up to, girly girl, but man, did not look good. Who knows what I'm talking about? Oh, Doris is wrapping presents. I'm going to be wrapping presents this afternoon. So I hope you have a wonderful time. Turn Christmas music on, Doris. Enjoy it. And yeah, so there's Scotland, top of the morning. Oh, that's Irish, isn't it? I got to think of a Scottish. What is something Scottish people that freedom? Okay, that's all I know. Okay. Okay, so Lori Ann saw the live. Merry Christmas, everybody. Lori Ann saw the Websleuths episode where Trisha just kind of wigs out, right? Like I don't mean she goes crazy, but I do speak in hyperbole. I know I do. I am an extrovert. I'm an ENFP, and I can't apologize for my personality. I am who I am. Okay. So, but I did find that if we compare Trisha's behavior to what is normal for her, like what she normally presents like, it was so weirdly different. It was like gray hues. She was very negative, and she was ranting. I think that's a fair term. Lorianne, is ranting, is that a good description? She was ranting against John Benet Ramsey's father, and that led to her basically grabbing Ashley Banfield's reputation and yanking her by the back of her neck like a dog. And I was sitting there listening, and I was like, this just got weirder. Like, this just got really weird. Like, why are you going after Ashley Banfield? Because she thinks differently than you? because she interpreted professional statements differently than you. Now, to be fair, Trisha believes that she's so smart. She knows so much more than you and I know, that she has single-handedly solved the JonBenet Ramsey murder. That's right. That's how special she is. She has solved the murder, and so she calls detectives crazy. She calls DAs out. She calls grand juries out. She says that if you are like Ashley Banfield and you see the JonBenet Ramsey investigation and situation from a different point of view, then you are trash. You are stupid. You are dumb. None of that is true. The JonBenet Ramsey murder is a huge mystery. Just like Summer Wells, right? We can very easily say, well, no, using statistics, probabilities, we know that the majority of kids that are murdered or go missing, it's usually the parents involved, or if it's a wife, then it's usually the husband involved. But those are not facts. Those are extrapolations of research into very general correlations. We're talking about general correlation. If a child is killed, this is how likely it is that it was the parent. That is not a causal statement. You cannot say, okay, well, we have a 7-year-old child that was killed. That means the parent caused the death. No, it doesn't, because there are many situations, many, where sadly our children are stolen from us. There are situations where crazy people come into our homes and take our children from their beds while we are asleep. Elizabeth, her name escapes me. There are those instances. There was a little girl in Florida that it happened to. So Trisha, cool your tits, girl. Calm down. Get it together, Trisha. You're losing control. All right, now let's switch over to the Matthias part of this equation. Is there some benefit that a less sophisticated person might perceive if suddenly many reporters on Law and Crime or Court TV, if many reporters start getting taken to task? Is there? Like Lauren Matthias, who is a great journalist. Please, she's an investigative reporter. She is no trial tourist, folks. She is the bee's knees of true crime. And never forget, true crime is true. Yeah, but people that report on it very often lie, okay? Because they need to make things sensational, or they need to exploit family members like Kay Woodcock at JJ's memorial. You heifer. That was gross, and I'm going to hold back on that, but you're a heifer, okay? That was nasty. You should have these families, these victims, they deserve protection from you, Lauren, from you. When it is a memorial service, the role of the community is to support the families. That's the role. Not to come up. Ooh, there's Kay Woodcock. Look at the flowers. Ooh, let me get close to Kay. Ooh, that was disgusting. It was gross. Okay, now I have my little tirade. So if this woman who tries to say I am not just a YouTuber, like that old Jules over there, that old bad Jules, that old crazy Jules. I'm not like her. I'm a real journalist. Okay. The problem is, Lauren, anyone can pull up one of your videos and just click on it anywhere in the hour or two. And right there is another example of where you are speculating and you are giving your opinion, and you have gone so far afield of reported facts that you're behaving like, what? Let's all say it together in the side chat. A YouTuber. Okay, so first of all, stop your I'm so important bullshit, because you are not. You were on obscure local channels. You have not made it big. What you did is you exploited a family. That's what you did. You behaved in a way, minus the murders, that you were no different than Lori. Lori, Daybell, she exploited religion to get her narcissistic supply. You are exploiting victims, real life victims, who are trying to go through their day surviving. And you're there with that camera in their face. Watch them. Oh, Larry cried. Larry cried. How many tears fell because Larry cried? Well, you damn well he cried. He loved JJ. How stupid are you? So the truth is, Lauren, that you behave like a YouTuberist. Okay? You do. You're a YouTubeist. You're no investigative journalist. You haven't investigated anything. You've just spied on a family, and you denied them their privacy during the worst time of their lives. That's all you did. So she likes to put on airs that somehow she is, special, that she's this great, Barbara Walters of true crime. Okay. The truth is she's not. She's just exactly like anybody else that's on YouTube. Here is the issue. If we know that Tricia of Websleuths and Megan Connor, that they have decided to be Lauren's mouthpieces, right? They're supporting Lauren. They're sending the message. Don't listen to those crazy channels that are giving you facts. Don't listen to those channels that are giving you video. Don't watch those police body cams. You can't believe any of that. Don't do that. Just listen to me and Megan and Lauren. We'll tell you what to believe. We'll tell you what to think, right? And so with that role, that they're taking their little cult following of hidden gems, they're taking their little cult hive mind, and they're saying, ignore the true facts, the receipts that are coming out. Ignore all that. Stick with us. And if you think Lauren is bad, you wait till you hear how bad Ashley Banfield is. That's what they're doing. Ashley Banfield is being used as a straw man. It's a straw man argument. It's their way of saying, oh, you people are talking so mean about Lauren, but you hadn't said nothing about that bad old Ashley Banfield. Let me tell you how bad she is. So the idea, which again, Trisha, I'm sorry to tell you this, but it's highly unsophisticated. This is a very childlike idea. This is like middle school social tactics, okay? The idea that because everyone is seeing the reality of Lauren Matthias's behavior, then what we're going to do is we're going to distract them by focusing on someone who is actually a notable journalist, a real journalist on a real channel, Lauren, a real one on the little tube thing, where you got to click the clicker, turn it on. we're going to scream and yell about how bad Ashley Banfield is. It's a straw man argument, just coming in a different form. And it's bullshit. Ashley Banfield has a different opinion than you have, Trisha. It's just different opinion. You are elevating yourself against all the detectives, the grand jury members, everybody. You are elevating yourself against people that have made documentaries about John Benet Ramsey. You are elevating yourself saying, I'm smarter than all of them. They're all stupid because they can't see the writing on the wall. And unfortunately, you're wrong. You're flat out completely wrong. It is up to a district attorney's discretion to bring charges that he believes are accurate and winnable. That's the truth. And my hope would be is that John Ramsey, that he would sue your ass for defamation. That's my hope, is that he will. Because what you did, railing against Ashley Banfield in the way you did, I believe it's all contrived for Lauren. In fact, Trisha, at the beginning of your live, you tell everybody to go and listen to Lauren's magnificent coverage of Nick Reiner. Oh my gosh, it was it's so great. She tells you all the reasons why. Please stop. Please. You sound utterly and completely ridiculous, truly ridiculous. You have no idea what you're talking about when you say Nick Reiner, the insanity defense, yada, yada, yada. You don't know you don't understand what it is that you're referring to. And yet all of this is being done to steer your listeners to Lauren, right? So they have sort of circled up. You know how wildebeest, when there's like lions or something attacking them, you know how they all like move together, they put their butts together so they're facing outward in a circle to protect everyone in the group. Elephants do something similar. That's kind of like what you're seeing with Lauren and Megan and Trisha. They're just circling up like, we're going to attack anything that moves without regard for any truth. Tell me something, Trisha. If you're willing to go to these links that you risk defamation by your online rant against a real journalist, Ashley Banfield, in order to provide a straw man for what's going on with Lauren Matthias, if you're willing to put yourself in jeopardy or your channel in jeopardy in that way, wouldn't you think you would want the truth? Like, I'm curious, Trisha, sincerely curious, why you are not covering all of this police body cam. Why aren't you showing it to your subscribers? Why aren't you watching the body cam and having discussions about what you see in the body cam? Because you can't, right? Because if you did, you'd have to admit that John Matthias wanted to take a ex-friend of Lauren's and put her in prison from 5 to 50 years to save his money. You know what we call that, Trisha? That's called mercenary. Someone who is so devoid of corrective emotion that they're willing to do anything that they have to do for a little cash. That's who you're circling butts with. But they're not. They're not showing the police body cam. How would one argue with police body cam? How would you do that? How? It's simply more evidence that in no way do they want to acknowledge that Lauren and John were 1,000% in the wrong. They don't want to admit it, and therefore they're like, no, I don't see it. What body cam? What are you talking about? Pull your head out of the ground, Trisha. Be the great crime reporter that you believe you are. Watch the police body cam. Watch it. That's all. Machiavellianism at its finest. Thank you so much, Anders Gustafsson. All right. So, terrible behavior by web sleuths, in my opinion. Horrible, egregious behavior. Totally ignoring who was actually victimized in favor of siding with the big channel, because Trisha is ambitious and she doesn't give a shit about true crime. She doesn't give a damn about the real victims, because if she did, she would watch that video that was recently put up by Everyday with Jay, where Lauren is at JJ Vallow's memorial, his memorial, and she's got her camera and she's filming everyone, and she's filming the flowers, and she's filming the food. And the minute that she sees Kay, man, right to Kay, puts the phone up in Kay's face. Her face. Oh, this is a sweet baby girl. Sorry, that's my granddaughter. Puts that phone right up in Kay's face. I've never seen anything so heartbreaking in my life. It was terrible. What's wrong with you, Lauren? Man, this makes me mad. Okay. Yeah. I don't know what her situation. I don't know what's wrong with Trisha. I don't know. I'm curious about the decisions that she's making in this whole thing, and how counterproductive and self-destructive her position is. It's crazy that these people are. Look, it's true. Okay. It's true. When Lauren did her 9-hour live, many of us were there for the whole 9 hours. And we had a lot of empathy for her, and we felt really bad for her, including, might I add, Trisha. Difficult research. Please pin her channel if you don't mind. And also Everyday with Jay. The truth is that we did feel badly for Lauren. We believed that she was in this very dangerous situation. And look, if you're a YouTube creator, on more than one occasion, you do get people that get a little too interested in you, and it can get really weird. Okay. So many of us really had empathy for Lauren and thought, ooh, that's not good. Now the facts have come out. These are real facts, right? You can't argue with police body cam. You just can't. There's letters that are being shared. And now at this point, unfortunately for Lauren Matthias, people are now actually checking claims and credentials of Lauren and John. They're actually digging into publicly available information to see how deep the lies go, how much the lies have happened. Now, one of these points related to these lies was this idea that in his little description on one of his websites, he describes himself as an adjunct assistant professor at UNLV, University of Las Vegas. Okay. Now, I myself had never heard of this term, adjunct assistant professor. It wasn't accurate, right? So you have assistant professor, then you have associate professor, and then you just have full professor, right? Or endowed, there's an endowed professor, things like that. Adjunct being a term that specifically denotes a limited time limited, course limited contract. Okay. So I can be an adjunct, even though I'm not a full professor at a university. I could be an adjunct to go in and teach about children in a hospital setting and their psychological needs, right? That would be considered within my specialty area. So I would be paid for what I taught. Usually it's around, if you're teaching a 3-hour class, just one class, it's anywhere from like $700 to $2,000. And it is dependent on, of course, the location, the university, and the class that you're teaching. So it's not a lot of money. And when I say, like, let's envision $1,500, that would be $1,500 over 3 months. Okay. But a lot of them are $700-800. So you can't just say, oh, it's going to be this much. It is different for private schools versus public colleges. The setting that the university's in, is it a large metropolitan area? Is it a small community college? How much in demand is the class? How many of those qualified professors do you actually have that can teach a class of any given sort? So there's a lot of different reasons that you might make a different amount. Okay. But it's a wide range, 7 to 2,000 ish, big wide range. And that's for 3 hours a week for about 3.5 months, close to 4 months. So adjunct, if somebody says I'm an adjunct, that means I'm here to teach one class for one semester, right? That's what adjunct is. If you are contracted full-time professor, then you're denoted as assistant professor, associate professor, or full professor, endowed professor. Assistant professor, let me be very specific to you guys. The assistant professor thing is, this is someone with a terminal degree, like a PhD or a PsyD or an MD or a doctor of engineering or a doctor of jurisprudence. They have a terminal degree and they're entering into the workforce in the education system, right? So new PhDs, they graduate, they get out, they get their first job teaching, and they are assistant professors. And assistant professors have a plan mapped out for them. They have to do so much research, pubs, teaching assignments, mentoring of students. Your job description is much more than go teach class. It's much more. You make yourself a binder to document all the work you've done, and then you go before the committee. You present all the work you've done, how you've been productive, all of that. And then if you satisfy all the requirements, then you become an associate professor. All right. And an associate professor is your mid-level. And usually, I'm not going to say all the time across the board, but usually if you make associate professor, you're usually offered tenure. Okay. And tenure just means they really can't be fired for anything unless, there's cause, like there's a big problem, like sex with a student type problem. Okay. And then you go through the same process again, and then you go before the committee, and now you're asking to be a full professor. That is the senior rank, and their level of excellence is broadly known. So you're well published. You present at international conferences. You are considered the standard for the field. There's also a little bit of confusion about, you can't be a professor, I'm sorry, you can't be a psychologist unless you are doing research and publishing. That's also a little bit of a misunderstanding, because if you decide to go the educational route and you go into higher education, you want to pursue the whole tenure track professor, pass, then it's publish or perish. Okay, nearly everything in their value is, what did you publish? What have you presented? How many panels have you been on? It's really it's really more academic. Now, if you do, as I've done, if you decide to go the clinical route where you are a practitioner, then what that means is that you are working directly with people, trying to help them get to whatever it is that they're trying to do. And so people that do the whole medical thing, that we do a lot of things, pain management, training and teaching. There's a lot of work for, let's say, as an example, people that for some reason have an amputation, they have to get a prosthetic, getting reintegrated back into society is a really difficult passage, especially for children. And so we work with the schools to prepare the teachers, the administration, and the students to welcome the student back, even though they may look different because maybe they were badly burned and have a lot of scars on their face. So we educate, we teach, and that way then when the student enters back into school, the kids are not scared and they're very open and they're welcoming, and they form friendships with the child that has experienced this devastating accident or injury. And then they're much more likely to integrate and live a happy, healthy life in spite of this devastation that they've been through. So we also work with people that have closed head injuries, TBI, Alzheimer's, dementia, things like that. We work with alternative assistive communication devices. So we're always working very closely with physical therapy or occupational therapy, speech therapy. We do a lot of work with that therapy type settings. So that gives you a little bit of a difference between being clinical and working with people. And we do still do research, but our job isn't dependent on that. The publish or perish scenario is 100% the academic setting. So it's a little hard to kind of get a handle on where Dr. Matthias is in this. He seems to have just been sort of part-time both. That he was teaching class, or no, he didn't teach class, but he was like okay, that brings me to another point. Okay, so on dissertation committees, it is the general rule, not the exception, that on your committee, which is made up of different people, you are required to have a community member provide input into the dissertation. In general, it comes in the form of coming to your defense or your presentation, coming to your dissertation defense, being observer, asking questions such as that. Usually that member is going to be someone who is well educated and they have a PhD, hopefully, but maybe it's in another discipline. Like you might, even though I'm a psychologist, maybe my community member that was on my dissertation committee was a doctorate of engineering, right? So it provides well-rounded, rational, logical insight as you're developing your dissertation research. So I can definitely see a scenario where Dr. Matthias is being asked to be on a dissertation committee as that community member. But community members don't really, like, you're not going to every dissertation meeting. You're not telling students, well, change this and change that, change. That is not really how the committee member that is a member of the community, that's not really their role. So maybe that would explain the comment that he volunteers. That might explain this idea that he volunteers for UNLV students, just volunteering as that community member, right? So that could. Now, the part that I was so blown away by that I just couldn't make sense of, I'd never heard this term ever, adjunct assistant professor. Never heard that. Never seen that. Doctors, lots of people go and do adjunct teaching down to University of Houston, teach a class or two on child development, whatever. Tons of people do adjunct teaching. It's not unusual at all. They don't have an office. Adjunct teachers don't have an office in the university. They don't necessarily do office hours, although, you make yourself available to talk to the students, a standard time or whatever, before class, after class. So I've never heard that term, adjunct assistant professor. It's a misnomer to me. It's strange because the assistant professor is a full-time employee of the university. They have a PhD. If you teach for the university and you have a master's degree, those people are generally called instructors. Okay, so if you hear assistant professor, that denotes doctoral terminal degree. So how does a part-time, one class, one semester, no office, how does adjunct even fit with assistant professor? That it's two different things, right? So I was really weirded out by this, and I thought, why have I never heard that? What could it actually mean? And so I did spend quite a bit of time last night researching and trying to figure out, what is that really a thing, or is that something made up that John put on his website? Like, what is it? I didn't know. So I did some investigating, and apparently New York does use that term, adjunct assistant professor, and that is not the same as assistant adjunct. That is nowhere. It is adjunct assistant professor. And so there are actually guidelines, appointment guidelines for New York University, the City University of New York, and Emory University, where they use the moniker adjunct assistant professor in their faculty directory. And basically, I'm just guessing here because I've never seen or heard that before, and it doesn't seem logical to me. But here's the idea. The idea, it seems, is they're giving the assistant professor label if you are like a professor at another university, right? So let's say, how do I say this? Let's say that I'm a full professor at University of Houston, and then I get invited to teach a class at UT Austin. Then if I go to UT Austin, they're going to give me the title adjunct because I'm temporary and then they're going to use the term assistant professor to denote that I am a professor somewhere. Weird, right? It's very weird. It's very weird. But that seems to be one explanation, perhaps. So using ranked adjunct titles, never seen or heard of that before. But basically, New York is just saying, hey, this is a part-time person teaching, and they are also qualified, they have a PhD, and they're employed as a professor somewhere else. So it's kind of weird, right? It's kind of weird. So basically, in essence, it's sort of like a socialist view where the structure of how you're naming your teachers is really like system wide. It's weird. It's a weird thing, but it is a thing. I'm for sure in New York, it's a thing. And there's some suggestion that Arizona is using the same kind of idea. So Emory University, they have affiliated programs like clinical psychology training that is going through School of Medicine, which is not unusual. We, like, for where I was educated, we worked hand in hand with the engineering department on a lot of projects, human factors, biomedical engineering, things like that. So again, apparently it's a way that they've come up with to say it's an assistant professor in cognitive psychology who is teaching a class in biomedical engineering. And so then you're adjunct assistant professor. I find it to be very confusing, and that's okay. I don't know. So the New York universities use it. The big the Columbia University is using it. Arizona, some of their programs are using it. It is not specific to the Department of Medicine. I taught and worked at a medical school for a long time. We didn't have that denotion that if someone is coming in and teaching a time-limited class, they're adjunct. If you are employed by the school, you're a professor, either assistant, associate, or full or endowed. Okay, endowed means that you've got money, that somebody's giving you money because of research you've done. All right, so tenure track is a big deal for academics. And if you are you consider I've named 5 universities or 6 universities where they're using this kind of strange adjunct assistant professor. 6 universities out of how many throughout the nation? Literally thousands of colleges. It is very obscure. It's very unusual, but it is a thing. It is. And essentially, because professorship is really about tenure track, research, and teaching, they have meaning. Assistant is entry level. Associate is mid-level, and then full professor or endowed professor is senior rank, demonstrated excellence, only one step down from God. Okay, so that's what it all means. And if you are none of those things, instructor, you're an adjunct instructor, that's where you stand. Okay. So I don't know. I wanted to correct that. I was in Hella's live last night, the communications that we were having, and I was just like, that doesn't even go together. Adjunct and assistant professor are two totally different things. They're not even related. Like, they're completely different. You have master's level instructor. You have adjunct, which is usually a PhD, and then you have full-time tenure track employees, assistant, associate, full, and endowed. I don't know. It's a weird thing, but I wanted to go on record, make sure that all of this is factually accurate, because I think it is critical that families of violent crime be protected from Lauren and John Matthias. I think it's critical. It's critical. Lauren doesn't seem to have any limits. She doesn't seem to have any limit. Well, and that is Sister of the Moon. Thank you for saying that, because the 3.5 hour live that he did, I listened and I was like, dude, you're supposed to be an academic as opposed to a practitioner. Why are you using citations that are 17 years old? You had to go back 17 years before you could find something that would support the spin that you were putting on your wife's behavior? That's highly unethical, John Matthias. If you're accurate, if you're right, if your opinions about what Lauren has done are supported, then you ought to be able to come up with some kind of citations in the last 3, 4, 5 years at least. 17 years, John? What are you doing? Do you believe? Here's what I think. Okay, I do think this. I think they have not taken time to get to know the people on YouTube. I think that they have convinced themselves that they are special and different, and that all of us viewers, all of we subscribers, that we're little peon nothings, that we do nothing in our real life of note. And I think Lauren may be completely unethical or immoral, but I think that Matthias is just maybe being lackadaisical, right? He's saying, well, I don't need to provide accurate, up-to-date citations, because after all, these little lowly YouTube peons don't know anything. That's what I think is going on. He knows damn well. Stop. He know if he's got a PhD, he had to do the whole dissertation route. I'm assuming he's published. I don't know. I haven't looked it up. It's not my business. But he understands about citations. He knows if there's an ethical responsibility from your manual, John. So what would be the excuse that he wouldn't make sure that his citations were accurate, up to date, contemporary? Why? Why the hell are you talking about Brad Pitt and a river runs through it? Oh, that was manipulation, wasn't it, John? You manipulated your audience and your ethics code. Big questions to answer in front of a committee. Big questions. No, you manipulated them. You used a symbol, a well-loved, accepted symbol of excellence, Brad Pitt. You used him to make your bullshit more believable and more accepted. That's what you did, John. So you're using all the tools of social psychology to manipulate your audience, and I don't think that's okay. I think if we are licensed and we are going to be on YouTube, I think we ought to be people. We don't need to be using our knowledge. We don't need to be using our protected tools to influence our channel growth. I don't think we should do that. I think we should be accountable in a very ethical way, whether we're working with patients or students or we're working with friends on the internet. You got to be ethical, and it was wrong. The whole thing has been wrong. It's been really wrong. I'm going to cover the wild live that they just did about Nick Reiner. Who has seen it? Anybody seen it yet? Go. I'm sure Jay is for dress or Every Day with Jay. I'm sure that she's probably going to be doing it. Hella reviewed some of it. Not Hella. Jolene Lunzer. She reviewed some of it last night. It was a hoot. It was hilarious. I am going to be covering it, but I need to give it the time that it deserves. There's a lot going on in that video. John, nonverbals. Did you forget them? Did you totally forget about nonverbals? Could seem like you might have. So we are definitely going to review the latest Nick Reiner video that they did together. We're going to have to be super duper careful because Lauren, as you know, is a litigious heifer. Okay. She is a litigious wildebeest heifer. And so you can only play I don't know, is it 8 seconds or something? You can only play a little bit and then you got to have a reaction to it. But I'm going to follow the rules because that's what I do. You got it, John? I follow the rules. I'm going to do that. And so I'm hoping that this afternoon after work, I'm hoping that I'll have about a 2-hour block where I'll be able to do that with you guys because wow. And what makes it even crazier? It's even crazier that it's an edited video. It's not a live. It's edited and they left all of it in. Damn, what are you guys doing over there? This has been a roller coaster with Hidden True Crime. And yeah, it's not good. So I've said it before, I'll say it again. The reason this matters is the process that those people that were affected by the homicidal urges of Lori Daybell, those people that were affected, they have been so manipulated and intruded on and mistreated. And we cannot let that happen to another family because overall, people need to be protected in their grief. And, she does so much blabbing about how she's a real journalist and she's a true crime journalist because it's true. And she has exactly zero regard for the victims. Like running up to Kay at the memorial, sticking her camera in Kay's face, and Kay's standing there by herself, minding her own business, probably deep in thought about her grandbaby. You know what, Kay? If you'd have punched her in the nose, I wouldn't have batted an eye. I'd be like, okay, well done, and walked on. So this does matter. We know that Lauren set her sights on Brandy Vaughn, Michael Monkey Vaughn's mother. They've already got their sights set on her. This Nick Reiner thing, this is going to be their new cash cow. You watch. This is going to be it. So it is very important for the facts to be out. Facts. That's why I corrected what I said last night about adjunct assistant professor. Wanted to make sure that everything that's said is real. And even though, New York seems to use that moniker, Drexel, it's kind of weird that he would put that on his, why he would put that on his website. Here's the truth. Saying that you're an adjunct professor is not a bad thing. That is not bad. To be invited to go to a university and teach a class because of your specialized knowledge, that's honor. That's honorable. It's a great thing. So why put adjunctive assistant professor. But again, it's name dropping, isn't it? It's the name dropping phenomenon. I am special. Look at my titles. No, you're not special because of the titles. People are special because of their behavior. People are special because they treat others with love and respect. And that is the absolute truth. So you guys have a wonderful afternoon, and I got to go back to work. See y'all later. Bye.
Woke up at dawn with the pelicans in flight. Coffee brewing strong by dawn's early light. Waves whisper secrets to my open heart. The life around this water gets me off to a great start. Parrots wild, squawking loud in the old palm tree. Dolphin smiles, brighter than the Texas sun on me. We chase simple dreams, nothing fancy or grand, just honest days in this promised land. God gives rainbow horizons to those in this happy lane. Diamonds dancing on the waves, back sparkling again. Honest living, a pursuit of peace, family ties and the happiness we seek. Love, forgotten country running deep in our veins. Through the storms and the trials we break those chains. Good living brings the blessings we see. Rainbow horizons calling to me. Living each moment, giving truth from the heart. No deceptions woven, no false starts. Goes like a front porch, swaying in the ocean breeze. Watching the sunset fade away with pink and blue ease. Teach the young ones right from wrong with care. Hold them close when the world's unfair. In this Gulf Coast life, we find our way, building memories that never stray. Oh, rainbow horizons after the rain. Diamonds dancing on the waves back again. Honest living in pursuit of peace. Family ties and the happiness we see. Love, forgotten country running deep in our veins. Through the storms and the trials we break those chains. Good living brings the blessings we see. Rainbow horizons calling to me. When the night falls quiet and stars shine bright, I thank the Lord for this humble light, for the flag that waves and the grace from above, filling our hearts with endless love. No riches compare to the peace we found in the time